be with you in a second. All right. 9 to noon is at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center tomorrow, which means right around 25 hours from Mark. Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, joins us, and now we head out to said facility to join Pete Bercich,
the analyst.
He's at Pete Bercich via X for hardcore football takes, and when you're on YouTube, don't forget to search Pete Bercich 5'6" for his Eye in the Sky video breakdowns, and the analyst joins us now. Pete, you called yesterday's win. You called it the biggest win in Kevin O'Connell's head coaching career. Why would that be?
I think because it was the most improbable victory, and it was the way with which the game was won. It wasn't won by Detroit just giving the game away or having a bad day and turning the ball over. Right? They didn't drop it in our lap. It was coming off of a awful victory or awful loss in Los Angeles, and then turning around and getting this team to play together. There was some infusion of some new players, no question about that. But defensively, it was the way it was schemed and called was brilliant. I think offensively, really the same way to get so much out of Aaron Jones. I mean, the end around to Jordan Addison when we needed it. The changes that were made to accommodate J.J. McCarthy and his skill set, and the way that these players played and how physical they were. So all those things coming together to win in a place that you had never won before. And you're playing the division leader coming off of a bye. So all those things, Jahmyr Gibbs, and, it's the whole thing. With just how good Jared Goff has been, Montgomery, Gibbs, just stopping Amon-Ra St. Brown, so to speak, Sam Laporta. I mean, this is a very, very good football team that the Vikings went out and beat. And all that together, I think that's as impressive. I've never felt less confident going into a game, right? And to come out a win and win decisively like we did. To me, that's just really impressive.
And I agree with you for what it's worth. And, that's a week and small change removed from getting back from SoFi, coming into 9 to noon at 11 a.m., but listening to Nordo and Ron Johnson on Fan Line. And Nordo, in what I thought at first was like overly emotional fashion, but then I thought it out a little bit, and he was absolutely right when, he said off the Chargers game for myriad reasons, all right? This is the greatest adversity Kevin O'Connell has faced in his 3+ years here. And they're just from Darisaw in and out and Wentz and the grimacing and the injuries and just so many things. I agree that there was a lot of adversity into that Lions game. I agree with what you said during and after the game about the magnitude of the game. And it's just nice to feel a bubble burst because I don't know where they're going to go from here, but they're, just take it from somebody who is over there and around them quite a bit. There was a tension bubble that burst yesterday, and it was sorely needed, right?
It was. And that's the head coach's job, right? When you walk off the field in Los Angeles, and you got a lot of question marks. You've got a lot of issues that you got to fix, and then an attitude that needs to be. You go out there. You were beat up physically. That was a physical loss. They ran the football, right? You come off that field beat up, a lot of question marks, and then you less than a little over a week later have to face this. So the attitude of the team to not give in to the adversity, right? To keep battling, to play together, they harbored some of their inner disdain for Detroit, not personal, just how much, how hard it is to play that team and how close they've been. The game 17 loss a year ago, those things stick with you. And to be able to mix all that and then kind of bring it together and then have the team go out and play the way they did, that is not an easy thing to do for an NFL coach, right? Because these guys are all individuals, they're all adults, but to get them to battle together like they did, it was pretty remarkable. So all those things, not just the scheme, but managing the personnel and the personalities and getting this team to fight together like they did. And it was all three phases. I mean, defense played well, special teams made some really big plays, and offense with the young quarterback looked pretty good. So you got all of them going and all firing all of them firing together. So I think that orchestrating and putting all that together in a little over a week is pretty remarkable.
There was a moment late in the game at Ford Field where the analysts became apoplectic. Listen closely. Here we go. Third down. It's 3rd and 1. 2 minutes to go in the game. Goff takes the snap out of the shotgun. 4-man rush. Fade left to Williams.
Push off!
Caught at the 10.
Oh, my God!
And that was an awful push-off touchdown.
Terrible!
Yeah. Is there a flag? No flag.
How can there not be a flag on that?
I think they might say Williams is out of bounds at the 3. No, and it's right in front of us.
I don't care. That was awful. That was ridiculous.
Agreed.
Why are you even out there?
Agreed.
After review, the ruling has been changed to a touchdown.
Oh, my heavens.
Garbage.
So I'm sitting on one of the buses set to go to the airport and listening to Fan Line. And there was 1 or 2 people on Minnesota Vikings Fan Line who didn't specifically disagree with what you said because you weren't referenced. But, Nordo, you can speak for Fan Line. You're the host.
Yeah.
Feeling the Jamison Williams push-off was not as bad as some people think it was. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, Pete, and we'll talk it out. You're watching it live. I had the advantage of seeing multiple replays and working through it that way. I just thought in some ways there was the extension, full arm out, and he makes contact. I think it's with Rodgers, and it almost looks like Rodgers in some way tried to sell it. There was no hand fighting or anything like that. I did not see it to be as egregious as you saw it in the moment. And that was kind of the vibe, talking to Ron Johnson about it and such. That was kind of our vibe on Fan Line. But that was...
Wait, Ron didn't think it was a push-off? Of course not.
Okay. And by the way, before you speak here, Pete, to the letter of the rule, there are 3 words that are very key that officials look at in the rule book. Full arm extension.
Yeah.
And there was full arm extension.
There was.
It was 100% a missed call.
It was a push off.
Yeah.
But the thing I loved the most about it, Pete, is while I didn't think it was as egregious as you did in the moment, that's all good. We're moving on. I would have loved to see a flag there. Listening back to that call, and we were talking about it with Abbott last night here at the station. How much do you hate our division rivals, Pete? I mean, I've heard you calling games and sitting next to PA for 15 plus years, but there's something extra, whether it's at Lambeau, it's the Motor City, it's Chi-Town in the shadow of Soldier with the Rubes around you. I don't think current players and coaches despise their own rivals in the NFC North more than you do. That's part of one of the many reasons that makes these calls so good with you and the Vox.
I think that's something that that players we all had back in the day. It was okay to not like the Packers. You can hate them. That's fine. 20 years from now, when you see them, at a reunion or something, or meet them somewhere, you're going to be friends and say, "Hey, it's not personal. It's just business. It's how it is, right? You have to win your division." And then, it bugs me a little bit too. It's like, hey, isn't this the state of Drew Pearson? Do we not remember that play? Have we not been down that road? Have we not experienced something like that? I understand it was a playoff game or whatever, but for God's sakes, that was the one time of the game. That was the one thing that the Lions could do to win that football game, was to score quickly. And then they went ahead and did something like that. And I'll tell you something too. That play happened right in front of me, right? And the way that Isaiah Rodgers' body went back and then came forward, it was so evident. And I've been watching live football for NFL for 30 years, and the way that play just went out, it was that obvious to me, because that's what the officials see. They see the movement of the body of the wide receiver coming out of a break, and then all of a sudden kind of stumbles out of a break. That's a sign of holding. And this is the exact opposite way, again, on the DB and the push-off. But it was as obvious from our angle, and it happened right in front of us, but from our angle where I was sitting, that was as obvious of a push-off as I've seen in a long, long time. And
the analyst.
It was a big time in the game. So, what's wrong with me losing it a little bit?
No, I loved it.
Yeah. So
and that's the whole point. That's how you play this game, right? That's how you play this game. When things like that happen, you let it get to you, right? You let it get to you. You're not going to lose. You're not going to lose to your division rival. We're not going to lose again in Detroit. I'm sick of walking out of Ford Field and sitting by the buses right next to that gigantic dumpster that's out there, thinking about, my God, what a day this was.
It's an incinerator.
After a while.
Yeah, it's a giant incinerator. It's not a dumpster, but
whatever it is.
It does
You
smell.
know what I mean? Yeah. Whatever it is. But I'm just saying, you get sick and tired of walking through all the concrete hallways in that place on your way out, going, "Oh, wish we would have done this," or how about that, or Jahmyr Gibbs, boy, that guy's good. It's like, well, you know what? Screw that.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't beat him. That's my line of thinking, right? That's just whatever.
All right. Lastly,
here's what it is.
What did the defense do to keep Jared Goff so confused?
I don't know if it was. It was the entire protection up front. I don't think that and that's with bodies moving in and out, but they weren't 100% sure of what they wanted to do or what they were going to do. They didn't have, per se, a max protection or something they could fall back on to make sure they had all the gaps covered. So there was indecisiveness in their offensive line, which allowed our D-line and linebackers. We took advantage of their running backs and pass protection as well. That was a huge thing. It was something that Montgomery showed on film against Tampa Bay the week before, giving up a big sack. So we exploited that with Eric Wilson and with Cashman and with Ivan Pace, making those guys block. And those blocks occur rare, right in front of the quarterback. And again, we mentioned it a million times. This is a timing offense. Jared Goff is the whole thing, the breaks, the throws. That's how they run after the catch, because the ball's accurate and delivered on time. And we were able to get Jared Goff off of his spot. He was picking himself up off the ground after completions, after incompletions. There's a cumulative effect of all that. And here's a guy that has been 76.3% accurate completion percentage against us in the last 5 games, and we got him down into the 60s. So that's how you beat the Lions. That it was a textbook example of how you beat the Lions, and being multiple up front, and then Andrew Van Ginkel with his talent set, his ability to rush and to drop and cover, that added a nice little gasoline to the fire. And then Javon Hargrave and playing so well, Jalen Redmond continuing to play well, Jonathan Allen doing a great job, Grenard being such a leader out there. It was such a different group, man. We played on their side of the line of scrimmage. They were physical, and Levi Drake Rodriguez blocking field goals. I mean, come on, this defense was fired up, and they played very well, and that was 82, and they did. They got him on. It's not easy to get Jared Goff off his game, and they did for almost the entire game.
Pete's inclusion, courtesy of Sukup Manufacturing and Sukup.com. I'll see you out there this week, and then we got the Ravens coming up this weekend. Thank you, Pete.
All right, sounds good, PA.
That's the analyst, Pete Bercich, at Pete Bercich via X. Thank you, Sukup Manufacturing, and thank you, Sukup.com. Your talkbacks are around the corner, followed by the Sultan of Smug with the border battle conversation 25 minutes from now. But first,
The Fan and Two Men in a Junk Truck want to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword is grand. You might win a grand by using the keyword grand at KFAN.com.
Last week, it was about turning the page, and my callback was turning the page on this season, if you remember it. And I just have to eat my words and say I apologize, KFAN, because we're back, baby. This team is back. JJ's back. Call me bandwagon. Guys are laying it on the line. It's great to see.
well, button bar, please.
We're coming. We're coming.
Well, that was fantastic. And there's no, I mean, that was great. Thanks for listening to FM 100.3 KFAN. I mean, these guys lay it on the line. I mean, it's clear that your bit raised. Thanks for turning the page. No need ever to apologize to 9 to noon. You executed your bit in second to none fashion. We're back. So
We're back.
Sorry, K-Fam.
Skol, baby. Back at the 500, J.J. McCarthy getting into the rhythm of things. I know everybody else feels, but I think J.J. McCarthy's got a long, good career ahead of him. Only been 3 games, but for the first time in his career, he looked comfortable. Even when he had to get out of the pocket and flush a little bit, he looked a lot more comfortable, making a lot better decisions. Long ways to go. Very excited. Skol.
Oh, the young man has played 12 National Football League quarters. And in my estimation, he has looked comfortable in 5 of them.
Yeah.
The fourth quarter at Soldier Field. Now, this is, yes, there was comfortability to a certain extent in the first 3 quarters of the Bears game. The Falcons L for the home opener Sunday Night Football, though. And so those 2. So, yes, I mean, there were moments where there was comfortability. But this was a large and in charge situation. The fourth quarter at Soldier Field, he won the game. He basically single-handedly won the game. And he just, win or lose yesterday, he just seemed like he absolutely belonged in that role. And it slowed down for him at a very difficult place to win against some high-end defensive players, and Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil and Anzalone. Campbell's gotten really, really good. I never thought Jack Campbell's pass coverage and just his overall game would be as good as it's gotten. O'Connell.
I hate that rule on a sack, by the way.
See, that's the bit.
I think the body weight bit is dumb. I mean,
no, I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, there were 30 yards of penalties that should not have gone against the Detroit. The Aiden Hutchinson thing was dumb.
I think it's ridiculous.
Well,
they need to change that rule.
I thought the kick, I don't even know about the kick, but I didn't think it was a kick, but I'm probably wrong. But 3-2, like they neutralized Brian Branch in a way. I don't know what they did. I mean, I ain't trying to be Don Coryell up in this thing, but Branch makes plays every single game, and every single game against the Vikings. He didn't make a lot of plays yesterday. Amik Robertson, Terrion Arnold, and Thomas Harper filling in for Kirby Joseph. They paid. And McCarthy had to make them pay. He targeted Jefferson 9 times, more than double anybody else on the team. That'll do. Justin didn't cross 100 yards, but he had a touchdown, both touchdowns from McCarthy. So all of these little baby stories are developing. But with that talkback, that was really cool.
Yeah, and the talkbacks are certainly JJ dominated. One thing off of that, though, he mentioned decision making, and that's the key. Like, I don't think JJ made a mistake with his decision making yesterday. I mean, it stinks that he throws it behind Naylor, and of course, Terrion Arnold's going to get his first career interception on a play like that, where we're analyzing the film and 1 hand here, 2 hands there.
Unless one of those 2 broken play running L's was on the court. What happened?
Well, that's a good point.
What happened?
Well,
Twice.
The entire Vikings team went left, and Mason went right.
Yeah,
and I think
Mason tapped his chest.
He was patting his chest.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like maybe some communication errors potentially. There was that one earlier in the game as well.
I just envisioned him taking the snap and turning around and going, "What happened?" Because it happened. Because that's what it looked like.
So it wasn't perfect. I just think the spirit of his decisions, the things that he was looking at on the field and how he addressed it, whether the throws some were inaccurate, he made mistakes, but
I know what you mean.
I just really liked the decision making yesterday.
Right.
Let's go back to the talkback machine.
Hey, it's a little warning for the NFC North. You guys are still dealing with babyface JJ McCarthy. I think wild card this year, maybe a little playoff run, but I'm telling you, another winter of some ring sausage and sauerkraut,
there we go.
And you're going to see J.J. McCarthy come into the season next year out of hibernation, maybe with a little hair in his chest, maybe a beard, and you guys are in trouble.
Well, it's
hell no. We're going to go to playoffs next year. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm going to defer to you on this because you do fan line, in fantastic fashion. So you listen to more talkbacks than I do. I can't recall a stark difference week to week, game to game, because like last year, okay. It's like Darnold missed 5 wide open guys in the end zone. Probably could have used the 3rd and 17 to Hawkinson, middle of the field between the hash marks.
Yeah.
But hey, good for Sam. Good for Sam. He's setting NFL records and winning games and putting up 38 points. And Flores is on the horizon, but we have time to get to that. Okay, 3-2. So that's great. But it's like when they lose to the Lions in week 18 up to the playoff game. I don't recall it being, I'm so sad, I'm so mad, I can't believe that thing just went that way. All right, but now I'm fired up for this playoff game that's in Glendale, Arizona. So there wasn't a stark flip there.
No.
From the Chargers to what you heard yesterday, what you're hearing today.
Yeah, complete 180.
It's beautiful.
Well, and it's just, and let's be real about it, like, getting his tackles back, that helped.
Yep.
He was still, I mean, it was crazy. The pressure yesterday, they generated, it was like 58% pressures in his dropbacks. Like, JJ was under siege at times. He took 5 sacks. I think a few of them were on him.
Yeah.
We talked about the rollout. I need to see him get rid of that ball, but maybe it shouldn't count as a sack because he was a runner on Derek Barnes in particular. Mm-hmm. But he was under siege and he handled it. A week ago, I was taking talkbacks and it was, he's going to get killed behind that O-line. Like, if you think what you just saw from Carson Wentz is bad, first of all, coaching staff, everyone needs to be fired because Carson Wentz was basically a victim, that he was forced out into the game, et cetera. That was a big part of it. But the stark contrast between, if you thought Wentz was going to be bad, just imagine JJ at Detroit Field. Just put this thing on ice. The season is over. To now, talkbacks like this, where they're praising the kid, and he's the next coming of Dan Marino / Tom Brady. I think it's definitely a stark contrast.
With hair on his chest.
With hair on his chest and maybe a beard.
Good morning, PA. This is Tom in Rosemount. Thought McCarthy had a great day considering everything that you need to consider when it goes into that, missing that much time, being so young. One thing I did notice is the snaps when he's in shotgun are coming in really low. I think that's something we need to fix before we get a couple bad snaps going his way. Skol Vikes.
Fair. Fair. I don't know if it's a lot or whatever. I haven't watched stuff back yet. But what would that be for Brandell? His 4th start? Something around there. For Blake Brandell, who never had played center at any level in his life. Before he had to start that game in London against the Cleveland Browns.
I think that's 4, yeah.
Yep. So we got some work in progress terrorism here. Blake is really good in the running game, really good in the run blocking game. And I think is filling in admirably. In fact, above admirably, given he never had done it in his life. So good for Blake Brandell. And, But I do understand what you're saying, and we're in the LA Chargers game. I mean, we had a snap that went 5 feet over Wentz's head. So yes, it still is kind of a work in progress. But you know what? Speaking of the Minnesota Moving Company, and don't give covenant collapse if you don't feel it in your heart. I do. It behooves us to take a step back and recognize there's one player on the Minnesota Moving Company who has started all 8 games. He only has 1 or 2 penalties against him. And you never hear the TV or radio voxes saying anything bad about Will Fries. I mean, for making all the dances, my man. Because think about it. If Fries is like in and out with questionables and all that kind of stuff, off a season-ending injury that took him all off season to repair or to get up to speed with, and whether I heard this or not, or whether I just witnessed it or not, conditioning for Will Fries off this injury. I mean, we're in preseason games and my man's trying to get himself in full throttle shape for the Bears. Yeah. There was a lot that went into getting Will Fries back in one piece. That's why there was I don't know, some 3-2. There, yeah, whatever. So Will Fries, Covenant collapse from 9 to noon, and that return from injury was antithetical to a perception that was wrong about mismanagement with injuries. But then again, you can't really go after it that hard because there was no source tied to it. It was just like source said. So I'm like, all right, well, hey, you know what? They managed that one pretty well. Yeah. Because he's played all 8 games. He started all 8 games. Will Fries, who knew?
And sources say mismanagement of injuries. Sources say fractured locker room. I mean, I don't know what to do on a Monday morning other than play another talkback.
Morning, PA. Morning, Nordo. I think we need to make an amendment to the Fairness in Kevin O'Connell Act and call it the Trust in Kevin O'Connell Act, because the talk of the town leading up to this game was whether or not KO was going to change his play calling to better suit JJ. And to me, I didn't see a whole lot that was different, maybe a little more short plays, but there were still the deep balls that JJ was throwing, and he stepped up and proved that he could do it. So I think Kevin saw something that let him know he'd be fine running KO's offense.
Tika, Trust in Kevin O'Connell Act. I like that. Well done. When we return, the Sultan of Smug, David Sinykin, joins us to discuss all that is green and gold football on KFAN. Host of Packer Preview Sundays, KFAN, and also Packer Review. That's a podcast as part of the vast and ever-growing iHeart audio family. You can learn more about this border battle and about the green and gold at TC Head Cheese via X at TC Head Cheese. Don't add us. We've been doing this for multiple decades, whether Green Bay loses at home as a 13.5-point favorite, or they pull a giant upset and get to the Super Bowl. David and I are dogs. We're hippie brothers forever, so don't add us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for making the time, as always, PA.
Thanks for the nice text after the Vikings beat the Lions yesterday. I don't know what part of the text came from your heart. The first part, nice win for your boys, comma, we can skip border battle tomorrow if you want. I know you were in jest with that second part of it, but good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, it's a fun sport we follow, isn't it? Where you're ready to call it a day one week, and the next week you think you're the best team in the world. It never ends. I was worried about a possible trap game situation. A loss was not on my bingo card, however.
I don't know if it's a mutual friend, but he's a dear friend of 9 to Noons. He's the mailman. He's the civil servant. He's Johnny Kotishka. He's an elite fantasy sports mind. He's also a Green Bay Packers fan. In anticipation of you joining, this elite football mind sent me a text and tell me if you happen to agree with it. For the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur, enough of the I need to be better and do a better job BS. The team constantly plays to the level of its opponents and has for years. They are not a push-button team. They need to play with the lead. What do you think?
Yeah, some of that. I mean, last year this was a team that couldn't beat the really teams and beat up on all the crappy teams. And this year it's just the opposite. They perform well against good teams and seem to struggle against bad teams. It was a bad day for Matt LaFleur all around. Play calling was highly questionable. Made a terrible decision to go for it on 4th and 8 from the 10, down 7 early fourth quarter when the offense was a complete mess and Kraft and Golden and Watson were on the sidelines. You had no playmakers on the field. You go for 3 there, and that ultimately might have made a difference in the game. Yeah, I mean, LaFleur's being thrown under the bus, and he's got a lot to answer to. We all hate the coach speak. I've got to be better. It's on me. Yesterday, a lot of that loss was on him, but ultimately it was a game where Packers got beat up front, both sides of the ball, against a team that they should have dominated up front. Carolina doesn't get pressure. They were in Love's face all day. Packers came in fourth against the run. They couldn't stop Rico Dowdle. Sacked Bryce Young just once. They actually made yardage on the one sack. No hurries for Micah Parsons, first time in his career. 2 turnovers, 1 touchdown, and 5 red zone trips. PA, this team scored 13 points and never punted. I've never seen such a thing.
You can't talk that way and be taken seriously.
So let's eliminate the Parsons no hurries, no pressures, whatever. All right, that is mind-boggling, but whatever, it happened. Outside of that, what surprised you most with the way things developed yesterday?
How long is the segment? I'll have to try to make this concise. I think ultimately it rests on the offense. You hold the team to 16 points. Yeah, the run defense was bad, and they didn't get a stop at the end of the game when you finally tied it to force overtime, and that's very disappointing. But the offense was an absolute mess. They could get in no rhythm. The running game was working effectively, but then I thought he leaned on it too much. They try to make these big-time explosive plays against a defense that doesn't give up explosive plays. It didn't call for that kind of day, and Love threw an interception on a pass that should have never been thrown. So just ultimately scratching my head about the inconsistent offense. Yes, they're missing some players. Everybody is. The offensive line was a real disappointment yesterday and not giving Love time and allowing a very mediocre pass rush to get in his face. So that stood out to me. Is this team over the last 6 weeks is averaging 7 points a game in the first half. And it's hard to win football games relying on big second half turnarounds. So they got to figure that out. And they've lost maybe their third most important player likely for the season. And that's going to be a really tough blow for this offense to overcome, not having the one guy that opposing defensive coordinators go into the week looking for ways to stop.
So that would be Tucker Kraft, right?
Yeah, it's his 25th birthday today. No official word yet, but he posted on Instagram a very cryptic image of the hourglass showing lots of sand left. No worry, but on his knees. So we're awaiting the official news that he tore his ACL, and just a devastating blow 1 week after his coming out party on Sunday Night Football.
All right, so this is not border battle trash talk, but if I say Luke Musgrave has been an underachiever, would you agree? And then the cat Fitzgerald, who they needed in a few games for blocking packages and ended up making Ben Sims available, and now he wears purple. Fitzgerald has problems catching. Are both those statements accurate?
Yeah, it's Fitzpatrick. Yeah, they don't really go to him much in the passing game. He's a good blocker.
Yeah,
but Musgrave is one of those guys. He's a tight end in a wide receiver's body. Came out of Oregon State, really fast guy. He's not going to block at all. He hasn't shown the ability to run after the catch. He can get open. He's fast. They'll run some plays for him, but he doesn't give you the all-around package that Tucker Kraft gives you, obviously. And, yeah, I mean, they really like Ben Sims. Unfortunately, Watson was coming back. They decided to keep 2 kickers on the roster, and so they let Sims get away. You guys scooped him up for the second time, and they'd love to have him back. I'm sure we'll make a trade for some underachieving tight end before tomorrow's deadline. But it's a huge piece of this offense that the focal point was the tight end. It cannot be that way anymore. They're going to have to look in other directions. Now Golden has a shoulder. Reed is still out. Dobbs was very good yesterday. He's going to be the guy they lean on. But you don't replace Tucker Kraft. He was the one proven difference maker. Maybe Watson's the second guy because of his speed, and he's had a nice return. But losing Kraft is a major blow for this offense.
How did the quarterback play overall?
Mediocre, not great. He was not the reason they lost, but it wasn't a great performance. It was just a sleepy performance by this whole team. And in between 2 big primetime games against the Steelers and Eagles, you worry you're going to get a flat game. And I thought Love was part of that. It wasn't his most shining hour, but I don't think the play caller did him any favors. And just turnovers. Just unable to finish drives everybody contributed. The offensive line too. Like I said, he had no time yesterday. PA Panthers were the 31st best pressure team in the league. They looked like a top 10 unit, and that was just a real surprise.
How negative was Blake Moore on the podcast Packer Review?
Wasn't as giddy as we were last Monday, that's for sure. Yeah, our Daubers are down, mostly because of the Kraft news. You know, a loss is a loss.
Yep.
You beat the Eagles next Monday night, and you're feeling good again. But, man, it just you lose a guy like that when you've got title dreams. It makes it hard to see the gold at the end of the rainbow at this point.
Yeah, looking at that schedule, Philly at home, that should be a heck of a game. At the Giants, you should win that one. You got the Vikings at Lambeau after that, then at Ford Field, then the Bears at home, then at Denver, at Chicago, Ravens at home, at US Bank Stadium. Damn, man, that's a little bit of a bear coming up here, isn't it?
Yeah, it gets meaty. 5 of the last 7 are division games, and that's how you want the schedule to break, right? We all want to play our division games late. So they're going to have to play a lot better. I mean, the one silver lining, and Blake Moore and I talked about it, is they seem to play their best when they play good teams. And so if you've got good teams on your schedule, maybe you'll get the better version of yourselves late. But, again, lots of questions after that one yesterday. To lose as a 13.5-point favorite, I think it's the worst loss of the LaFleur era. I don't think it's the most devastating or heart-wrenching. We've got January playoff games I could list for you, but most disappointing, embarrassing loss, I can't think of one that goes higher than yesterday's. That was just a complete dud.
And lastly,
in the silence you hear is Lambeau Field.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, PA. Again, congrats on the win. That was big time.
Thanks, bud. God bless you and your family. See you, David.
Yep. See you.
At TC Head Cheese. At TC Head Cheese. I think the headcheese.com is still a thing, but we also have the Packer Review podcast. Learn more about that via the vast and ever-expanding iHeart Audio Network. Sneaking up on 11, final hour of 9 to noon. Don't leave.